Sloppy wife transforms in a stunning dress. Millionaire husband dumps mistress and tries to win wife back. They say appearances can be deceiving, and nowhere is that more true than in the seemingly perfect world of the wealthy. In this compelling story, Anna Richmond, a once confident woman turned disheveled housewife, becomes an unlikely heroine when her millionaire husband, Richard, strays into the arms of a cunning mistress beneath the gleaming chandeliers and gilded walls of their opulent mansion. Secrets smolder and hearts break. But when a sudden transformation catapults Anna from a life of neglect to a vision of grace, the entire dynamic shifts. Can a stunning dress save a marriage, or is it too late for redemption? Let the drama unfold. Anna Richmond stood in front of the mirror, blinking back tears. The woman gazing back at her looked tired, hair in a messy knot, under eye circles. An oversized T-shirt stained by last night's spaghetti sauce. This was far from the Anna who used to glide through charity galas in Manhattan, turning heads and earning compliments for her tasteful elegance. She wondered how it had come to this. How had she allowed herself to sink so far? Her husband, Richard, was a self-made millionaire entrepreneur. Long before the money arrived, they were college sweethearts, studying business at Columbia University. They shared each other's dreams of creating something big, an empire, a life of freedom, or simply a stable, loving home. Anna recalled the day Richard secured his first major investment. He'd rushed back to their tiny apartment, lifted her off the ground, and spun her around in pure joy. But that carefree couple seemed light years away now. Success had changed them both. For Richard, it fueled his ambitions. He attended social gatherings with corporate bigwigs, often returning home too late, reeking of cologne mixed with the faint scent of expensive whiskey. For Anna, success initially meant excitement, someone to dote on her every whim, a wardrobe filled with designer dresses, and lavish vacations in the south of France. But somewhere along the line, she'd lost herself. No single cataclysmic event triggered Anna's slump into neglect. It was more like a slow erosion. Richard's increasingly critical remarks about her cooking, her clothes, or her inability to elevate herself to the level of his business partners' wives. Then there were the social gatherings where she was overshadowed by supremely polished women who wore designer gowns as if they were second skin. Over time, Anna's confidence chipped away bit by bit. She began to avoid the mirror, skip her makeup routine, and dismiss the occasional grey strand peeking through her dark hair. Her mother, Vanessa Jenkins, had warned her that marriages built on ambition could be fragile. Vanessa used to say, "When you marry a man with big dreams, you either keep pace or get left behind." Anna had always brushed off the warning. She believed love was enough. Tonight, glancing at the mirror, Anna realized that love alone might never be enough for a man like Richard. She straightened her posture, ran a hand through her messy hair, and considered if she had the will to change. That moment of introspection was interrupted by the sound of laughter echoing from downstairs. Richard was home, and he wasn't alone. She tiptoed to the staircase, trying not to draw attention. She could hear Richard speaking animatedly, his voice dripping with the charm he once reserved for her. Another voice, bright, sultry, and dangerously confident, responded. Anna's heart sank. She recognized that tone. The woman was Monica Ellis, a high-profile interior designer who had been working on their mansion's renovation. Rumors had been circulating among the household staff that Monica was more than just a designer. Anna pressed her back against the hallway wall, eyes closed, hands trembling. She couldn't bear to see them laughing together, locked in some cozy exchange. Though she had no tangible proof, she suspected an affair. The fleeting thought that she might barge into the living room and confront them crossed her mind. But she knew she lacked the energy and, more importantly, the confidence to fight back. The laughter subsided, replaced by low murmurs. Feeling dizzy, Anna scurried into the bedroom and shut the door. She slid down to the floor, back pressed against the wood, tears pooling in her eyes. She felt the sting of betrayal, but also a surge of anger at herself. What if she had stood tall, refused to cower in the shadows, and reclaimed the spark that once defined her? In that moment, she resolved that something had to change. She didn't know how or when, but she couldn't live like this any longer. Staring at her reflection one last time, Anna whispered, "I won't be invisible forever." The morning sun filtered through the sheer curtains of Anna's bedroom, yet she had barely slept. The scene from the previous night replayed in her mind like a bad movie on loop. She heard that voice, Monica's flirtatious laughter, and felt the rush of sickening dread all over again. Determined not to remain the passive bystander in her own life, Anna pulled herself off the bed and headed downstairs. The living room was immaculate, the only signs of last night's presence being 2 empty wine glasses on the coffee table. She wondered if Monica had stayed the night. The thought made her chest tighten with jealousy, pain, and humiliation. Richard was already at the dining table, sipping black coffee, reading the financial news. He barely looked up when she walked in. "Morning," he said, in a tone so casual it felt dismissive. Anna swallowed hard. "Good morning," she managed, her voice steady. "I heard you last night with Monica. Working on the remodeling plans?" Richard flicked his gaze upward. His eyes lingered on her stained T-shirt and disheveled hair for a moment before he returned his focus to the newspaper. "Yes, we were finalizing some ideas for the new lounge. We ended up having a few glasses of wine. Time got away from us." She paused, waiting, hoping he'd elaborate, maybe reassure her. But he didn't. Instead, he turned a page, the crinkling paper sounding louder than ever in the still room. "I see," Anna said, unsure of what else to say. She wanted to believe his explanation, to cling to the shred of normalcy, but the leftover tingle of her intuition wouldn't let her. After a moment, Richard cleared his throat. "I'm going to be out of town for a few days, flying to Chicago for a business conference." Anna's chest tightened further. Business conferences were part of his routine, but each trip now filled her with dread. She wondered if Monica would be joining him. "When do you leave?" "Tomorrow morning, early flight." She nodded. An awkward silence settled between them. The tension was thick, and yet neither of them would acknowledge it. Finally, Richard stood, folding his newspaper neatly. "I'll have breakfast at the office," he said, dismissing Anna without a second glance. He grabbed his briefcase and headed for the door. Alone in the vast, tastefully decorated room, Anna felt a wave of loneliness. This mansion in Westchester, once her dream home, felt like a cage. With a sigh, she started collecting the wine glasses. Her hand trembled, threatening to drop them. A cough behind her nearly made her jump. It was Martha, the housekeeper. She hesitated before speaking, her eyes full of sympathy. "Ma'am, if I may, I overheard Mr. Richmond talking on the phone earlier this morning. He sounded very close to Miss Monica." Anna froze. Martha had been with them for years, a loyal and discreet employee. She wouldn't say anything unless she was truly concerned. "Close how?" Anna asked, her heart pounding. Martha lowered her voice. "He mentioned something about booking 2 seats to Chicago, but specifically instructed his assistant to keep Miss Monica's itinerary separate from his so you wouldn't see it." The words hammered Anna's chest. She set the glasses down on the nearest surface, her breath shallow. "Thank you for telling me," she managed. Martha's eyes glistened with empathy. "I'm sorry, ma'am. I just thought you should know. You deserve better." Once Martha left, Anna slumped onto the couch, tears brimming. The confirmation was like a punch to her gut. Her marriage was crumbling, and she felt powerless. She thought about calling her mother Vanessa, but she couldn't bear the "I told you so." She considered calling her best friend, Lily, who lived in the Upper East Side. Maybe Lily would have some advice, or at least an empathetic ear. She grabbed her phone, scrolling to Lily's contact. Her thumb hovered over the call button. "What do I even say?" she whispered to herself. Still, she pressed it. Lily answered on the second ring, her voice cheerful. "Anna, been ages since I've heard from you." Hearing Lily's warmth, Anna's composure crumbled. She broke into sobs. Between gasps and sniffles, she let out the ugly truth that had been festering in her heart. Richard was cheating. Lily listened patiently, never once interrupting until Anna finished her story. Finally, Lily spoke. "Oh, Anna, I'm so sorry, but you can't let him drag you down. You have to fight back or walk away. You need to remember who you are, who I am." Anna echoed bitterly. "I don't know who I am anymore, Lily. Somewhere along the line I got lost." A long silence followed. Lily's voice was calm but urgent. "Then we'll find you again. I'll help you. You're not alone in this." Anna wiped her tears. She felt a flicker of resolve. "Maybe you're right. I can't just sit here waiting for him to decide my fate. I need to do something." In that moment, seeds of doubt converged with the glimmer of hope. She might be sloppy now, but that didn't have to be her destiny. If Richard thought she was too broken to fight for herself, maybe it was time to prove him and the rest of the world wrong. Lily didn't waste any time. She arranged a meeting with Anna at a chic cafe in Midtown Manhattan called Le Papillon, a favorite haunt for socialites and rising entrepreneurs. As Anna walked in, she tugged at the sleeves of a cardigan that was a few sizes too big, feeling painfully self-conscious in the sea of impeccably dressed patrons. Lily spotted her and waved vigorously. With golden curls and a polished navy suit, Lily exuded the confidence Anna once had. The two women embraced, and Anna immediately felt a rush of comfort and longing. They settled into their seats, ordering cappuccinos and a selection of macarons. Lily leaned forward, her tone urgent yet compassionate. "All right, sweetie, let's get down to business. Have you confronted Richard about Monica yet?" Anna shook her head. "I tried asking indirectly. He lied. He's taking her to Chicago, Lily. He's done so many shady things behind my back." Lily pursed her lips. "That's unacceptable. Why are you tolerating this? You don't have to put up with it." Anna sighed, a heavy weight pressing on her chest. "He used to be the man of my dreams, Lily. And I keep thinking, maybe it's just a phase. Maybe if I become the woman he fell in love with again, I can get him back." Lily reached for Anna's hand. "Don't forget, this is about you, not just him. But if you want to try, there's no harm in reminding him what he lost. Anna, you used to be unstoppable, remember how we rocked those college events? You were the star." A faint smile tugged at Anna's lips. She did remember. She once had the confidence to speak in front of hundreds, to dance without inhibition, to dazzle crowds in her little black dress and high heels. It felt like a lifetime ago. After they parted ways, Lily had arranged for Anna to meet with an image consultant, a woman named Elena Torres, who had helped rebrand several notable women in New York high society. Lily believed that sometimes an external transformation could spark the internal changes necessary to reclaim one's life. Before the appointment, Anna took a walk down Fifth Avenue. She passed flagship stores, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, and others that she used to frequent without a second thought. Now she felt like a ghost, drifting past windows she had once entered with confidence. Yet each step stirred a memory of who she had been. Elena's office was located in a sleek skyscraper overlooking Central Park. Upon entering, Anna was greeted with a serene, minimalist aesthetic. Soft instrumental music played in the background, Elena, a statuesque woman with silver hair and impeccable posture, gestured for Anna to take a seat in a plush white chair. "So, tell me about yourself and what you hope to achieve," Elena began, her voice cool and polished. Anna swallowed, feeling self-conscious under Elena's assessing gaze. She explained her situation, her fading confidence, her estranged husband, the possibility of another woman. Elena listened intently, tapping a perfectly manicured nail against the surface of her desk. When Anna finished, Elena steepled her fingers. "Transformation is about more than just clothes, Anna. It's about confronting the narratives that hold you back. We can start with the superficial hair, makeup, wardrobe, but if the mind doesn't shift, you'll just revert to old habits." Her words struck Anna. "I'm ready to change," Anna said softly. "I just don't know how." Elena rose, walking around her desk to stand beside Anna. "We'll do it together," she replied, placing a gentle hand on Anna's shoulder. "But you must be willing to let go of the version of yourself that believes she's not worth the effort." That night, as Anna prepared for bed, she caught a glimpse of her reflection. She still looked tired, but there was a new spark in her eyes. Perhaps it was just a tiny flame, but it was there, a promise of hope. Meanwhile, in the exclusive circles of high society, whispers were starting to spread. Rumor had it that Monica was making plans beyond just interior design. Some said she was hinting at an engagement, brandishing what looked like a diamond bracelet Richard might have given her. The gossip columns, always on the lookout for juicy stories, smelled blood in the water. Anna had no idea that she was already the subject of hushed conversations. All she knew was that the next day she'd be meeting Elena for a personal shopping session that could change her life. Her heart fluttered with a mixture of excitement and dread. If her transformation didn't succeed, she risked losing Richard forever and, more importantly, losing any remnants of self-respect she had left. Anna arrived at the Madison James boutique the next morning, nerves dancing in her stomach. The boutique was nestled on the Upper East Side, filled with elegant gowns, tailored blazers, and shimmering accessories that seemed straight out of a fairy tale. Elena was already there, browsing through racks of clothes with the focused intensity of an artist selecting paint colors. "Anna, darling, I've already pulled a few pieces I think might work," Elena said, greeting her with an air kiss on each cheek. A small cluster of sales associates hovered nearby, ready to assist in any way. They led Anna to a private fitting room. Elena handed her a form-fitting black dress with a delicate lace overlay. "Try this first. It'll be a starting point." With shaky hands, Anna took the dress and stepped behind a velvet curtain. She slid out of her baggy cardigan and jeans, and for a moment she hesitated. Looking at herself in the mirror, her body felt unfamiliar after years of neglect. But she slowly pulled the dress on, tugging at the zipper until it closed. When she stepped out, her heart pounded. The reflection staring back was different. Her curves were accentuated, her posture seemed straighter. Despite the messy ponytail and lack of makeup, she could see a flicker of the old Anna. Elena circled her, eyes narrowed in appraisal. "We'll have to adjust the length a bit, and perhaps cinch the waist, but this is promising." Next came a sleek navy pantsuit, then a gorgeous emerald green gown that skimmed the floor. Each outfit drew out a different facet of Anna's personality, poised, playful, elegant. The sales associates rushed about, bringing belts, scarves, and stilettos. Anna found herself smiling, feeling exhilarated. During a break, they sipped sparkling water in plush armchairs. Elena studied Anna thoughtfully. "I heard from Lily that Richard is hosting a charity gala next month at the Ritz-Carlton," she began. Anna's eyes widened. She hadn't been aware of any upcoming gala. "He didn't tell me." Elena's lips pressed into a thin line. "It's a big event, high-profile guests, a silent auction. It's in all the society calendars." Anna realized with a pang that she'd been shut out of her own husband's social sphere. She took a deep breath. "Then we need to make sure I make an unforgettable entrance," she said, determination settling in her voice. Elena's face lit up. "That's the spirit, Anna. We'll find you the perfect gown, and then we'll work on hair, makeup, etiquette, refresher, everything." In the weeks that followed, Anna immersed herself in her transformation. She hired a personal trainer, recommended by Elena, to help her not just lose a few pounds, but, more importantly, to regain strength and vitality. She took sessions with a stylist who taught her how to manage her once glorious hair, now dull from neglect. They showed her subtle makeup techniques that highlighted her eyes and gave her features a softer, more radiant glow. At first, it felt awkward waking up early for a run, measuring portions instead of gorging on comfort food, practicing how to walk gracefully in heels again. Yet, each small victory fueled her self-esteem. She noticed that when she stood taller, people treated her differently. Even small interactions at the grocery store felt more positive. Lily popped in regularly, offering words of encouragement. Sometimes they'd share a laugh over old college photos, marveling at how carefree they used to be. Other times, they'd discuss the looming threat of Monica. Rumor had it that Monica was prancing around, flaunting exclusive invitations and acting as though she were already the lady of the Richmond household. Anna worked in silence, though, preparing for the moment she'd confront Richard not with tears or accusations, but with a resolute sense of self-worth. She wasn't simply trying to win back a husband. She was fighting to reclaim the life she deserved, with or without him. As the charity gala approached, Richard remained distant. He was often out of town, presumably with Monica, and rarely called. A few times, Anna caught glimpses of them in tabloid photographs, Monica's perfectly styled blonde hair, a sharp contrast to Anna's memory of her own unkempt look. It stung, but it also motivated her. Finally, the evening of the final dress fitting arrived. Anna entered the boutique, where Elena greeted her with a knowing smile. Inside the fitting room hung a strapless satin gown in midnight blue, elegant, understated, yet undeniably striking. Elena had collaborated with a local couture designer to customize it for Anna's figure. Gingerly, Anna stepped into the gown, letting the cool fabric glide over her skin. As Elena zipped it up, Anna's heart raced. This was it, the moment of truth, the transformation. When she stood in front of the mirror, time seemed to slow. Her shoulders were bare, accentuated by a subtle sheen of body lotion. A delicate diamond necklace. Lily had loaned her glimmered at her collarbone. The gown skimmed her waist and flared gently around her legs, giving her the look of a modern-day princess. Her hair was styled in soft waves that fell elegantly over one shoulder. Her makeup was luminous, highlighting her eyes and lips without overpowering her natural beauty. "Anna, you look breathtaking," Elena whispered. And for the first time in years, Anna felt it breathtaking, confident, and ready. All that remained was the grand reveal. But would Richard even recognize this woman? And if he did, would it be enough to jolt him from Monica's clutches? Only time would tell. The Ritz-Carlton ballroom glowed under the warm light of crystal chandeliers, each one reflecting off champagne glasses and polished marble floors. High-profile guests mingled, dressed in designer gowns and tailored suits, as a string quartet played softly in the corner. This was the kind of event Anna had once navigated with ease back when she was a confident socialite, actively supporting her husband's philanthropic endeavors. But tonight felt different. As she stepped out of the limousine, a hush seemed to settle on the crowd gathering at the red carpet entrance. Cameras flashed, and curious gazes flickered in her direction, recognizing the face they once dismissed as that sloppy wife. Only now, Anna was anything but sloppy. She wore the midnight blue gown that fit her like a second skin, and her hair glimmered under the soft lights. The diamond necklace from Lily caught the attention of onlookers, but it was Anna's newfound poise that truly captivated them. Shoulders back, chin held high, she moved with a regal grace, even though she felt waves of nervous tension beneath her polished exterior. Inside the ballroom, waiters offered champagne on silver trays. Anna gratefully accepted a flute, taking a tiny sip to steady her nerves. She spotted Lily across the room, who raised her glass in a silent toast, smiling in encouragement. Elena, standing nearby, gave Anna a subtle nod of approval. For the first few minutes, Anna roamed the perimeter, exchanging polite greetings with acquaintances who struggled to hide their shock at her transformation. There were the wives of Richard's business partners, each one dripping in jewels, who once barely acknowledged her presence. Now they approached with wide eyes, complimenting her style, fishing for details about her new beauty regimen. Anna responded with gracious smiles, carefully avoiding the topic of Richard or Monica. In truth, she had no idea if Richard had arrived yet. Her gaze swept across the vast ballroom, scanning for the man who was still technically her husband. And then she saw him. Richard stood by the bar, impeccably dressed in a classic black tuxedo. His tall, broad-shouldered frame exuded authority as he spoke with a group of high society businessmen. Beside him, in a shimmering gold gown, was Monica. Her manicured hand rested possessively on Richard's arm, and she laughed as though no one else in the world existed. A flash of anger coursed through Anna, but she steadied herself. She reminded herself that her purpose here wasn't to start a public fight, it was to show that she was neither invisible nor weak. Drawing a breath, she made her way toward the bar. Someone must have drawn Richard's attention to her approach, because he turned around and froze. In that moment, the blood drained from his face. Monica frowned, looking between Richard and Anna with confusion, perhaps even apprehension. "Anna?" Richard's voice came out in a near whisper. He stared as if seeing her for the first time, which, in a way, he was. Anna offered a polite, composed smile. "Hello, Richard. I believe congratulations are in order for another successful gala." Monica's eyes narrowed. "Anna," she said, her tone clipped, "I didn't expect to see you here." "Clearly," Anna replied, maintaining her composure. She could sense the tension escalating around them as other guests pretended not to eavesdrop. Richard cleared his throat. "You look incredible." He seemed at a loss for words. Anna took a small sip of her champagne, letting him struggle. In the past, she would have saved him from awkwardness, but not tonight. "Thank you," Anna said, her voice cool. "I came to support the charity unless you'd rather I not be here." Richard hesitated. Monica's grip on his arm tightened, but Richard shrugged her off gently. "No, of course, I'm glad you're here," he said, forcing a smile. "We should talk." Anna glanced at Monica, who shot her a venomous look. "Enjoy the gala," she said sweetly, then turned to walk away. Richard followed Anna, leaving Monica standing by the bar in stunned silence. They found a quiet corner near a large ornate mirror. Anna set down her champagne, crossing her arms to keep her composure steady. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" Richard asked, trying to regain control of the situation. Anna shrugged. "Why would I? We barely speak. And, if you'll recall, you never mentioned this event to me." He looked uncomfortable, glancing around to ensure no one was listening. "Look, I'm sorry about that. Things have been complicated. I didn't want to stress you out." A sarcastic laugh escaped Anna's lips. "Stress me out? By excluding me from an event hosted by my own husband?" She shook her head, her carefully styled hair shimmering under the chandelier light. Richard sighed, running a hand through his neatly groomed hair. "Anna, I know I haven't been fair to you, but seeing you tonight, it's like I forgot just how stunning you can be." Anna held up a hand, stopping him. She could feel old emotions surfacing, longing, hurt, love, anger, all swirling in her chest. "Richard, this isn't just about how I look. It's about respect, communication, and honesty. We can't fix what's broken if we're not even addressing it." He opened his mouth to respond, but a stage announcer called for Richard to join the other event sponsors for a brief presentation. Torn, he looked at Anna, wanting to continue the conversation. But duty called. "Please don't leave yet. After the presentation, can we talk?" "Really talk?" he asked, his eyes pleading. Anna glanced past him, noticing Monica glaring their way. She exhaled, feeling the weight of her transformation pressing upon her. Was she ready for this confrontation? "Fine. We'll talk after," she replied. As Richard hurried to the stage, Anna's gaze followed him. She realized that tonight's success wasn't about coaxing him back. It was about proving to herself that she could reclaim her dignity. Whether Richard recognized it or not, Anna had already won a significant battle. She was no longer the sloppy wife in the shadows. She was a woman who had risen from neglect, ready to face whatever came next. Anna found a seat at a round table near the side of the stage, grateful to see Lily and Elena waving her over. The applause thundered as Richard and other sponsors stepped up to make their remarks. Monica, relegated to the audience, stood by the bar nursing a cocktail, her expression sour. "You did brilliantly," Lily whispered, placing a hand over Anna's. Richard was practically drooling. Elena nodded in agreement. Monica's reaction was priceless. Anna tried to smile, but her mind was in turmoil. She gazed at Richard, who was addressing the crowd about the importance of the charity's mission, helping underprivileged children get access to education. He looked every bit the dashing, successful philanthropist. It was easy to forget the private turmoil simmering just beneath the surface. When the speeches ended, the string quartet resumed playing. Waiters flitted about, refilling champagne glasses. As Richard made his way down the stage steps, a throng of well-wishers surrounded him, eager to shake his hand. Anna lingered at the edges, uncertainty tying knots in her stomach. She noticed Monica making her move, sashaying across the ballroom toward Richard. Monica leaned in to whisper something in his ear, pressing her hand intimately against his chest. The sight made Anna's blood boil, but she clung to her newfound poise, standing tall and reminding herself she was no longer invisible. Finally, Richard extracted himself from the crowd. He guided Monica to one side, speaking with her briefly, his expression stern. Monica's face flashed with anger, and she stormed off in the direction of the ladies' powder room. Sighing, Richard scanned the room until his eyes landed on Anna, and he beckoned for her to join him in a quieter alcove near the foyer. The alcove was draped with heavy, burgundy curtains and lined with plush benches. It was a popular spot for private conversations or clandestine encounters. The irony wasn't lost on Anna. She took a breath and stepped closer, noticing that Richard's usually confident demeanor seemed frayed. "Thank you for waiting," he said softly. His eyes flickered over her gown again, admiration evident in his gaze. "We need to talk about us." "Agreed," Anna said, her voice as calm as she could manage. "Start talking." Richard shifted, as if searching for the right words. "I know things haven't been good between us for a while," he began, "and I take responsibility for my part in that. I got caught up in the business, the success. I neglected you. And then, Monica," Anna interjected, not letting him tiptoe around it. He exhaled sharply. "Yes, Monica, it started as harmless flirting. She was helping me with the mansion renovations, and we spent time together. I never intended for it to go this far." "And yet it did," Anna said, forcing herself not to look away from his remorseful gaze. "Tell me, is it still going on?" Richard hesitated, his silence speaking volumes. Anna felt a painful squeeze in her chest, but she refused to let the tears fall. She had come too far for that. "I ended it, or at least I tried to tonight," Richard said finally, his voice tense. "I told her, we're done, that my priority is to make things right with you. She didn't take it well." Anna studied his face. Part of her had yearned to hear these words, but she couldn't let him off the hook so easily. And you think just telling her it's over fixes what you did? No, he said quickly. I know it doesn't. But I'm trying. When I see you standing here, transformed, radiant, and it reminds me of who you were and why I fell in love with you in the first place. I miss that woman. Her lips parted, a mixture of frustration and sadness bubbling up. You miss me because I look like this again, because I took the time to dress up and get my hair done. Her voice trembled despite her best efforts. What about the times I was in sweats, tired from trying to live up to your expectations? Did I not deserve your love then? Richard's eyes brimmed with regret. Of course you did, but I got lost. I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying I let the allure of success cloud what really mattered. They stood in silence for a moment, the distant hum of laughter and music from the ballroom, a stark contrast to the tension between them. Finally, Anna sighed. Richard, I don't know if I can forgive you. I'm not sure if I even want to be in this marriage anymore. The admission shocked her as much as it did him. She had spent weeks preparing to reclaim her husband, yet now that he was here, remorseful, she felt empty. Perhaps she had realized something vital in her journey of self-transformation. She didn't need Richard to validate her existence. He reached for her hand, and she allowed him to hold it, if only for a moment. I understand if you need time, he said softly. I'll do whatever it takes to earn your trust back. Please, don't give up on us yet. Before Anna could respond, a sharp voice cut through the air. How touching. Monica stepped out from behind the thick curtains. Her eyes were rimmed with tears, but her expression was venomous. So you're just throwing me away for this sloppy-as-been who decided to dress up for one night. Anna stiffened, but refused to let Monica's words pierce her newfound confidence. Sloppy or not, I'm still his wife, she answered calmly, and you're not welcome in this conversation. Richard turned to Monica, anger flashing in his eyes. Monica, this isn't the time. I told you, she let out a bitter laugh. You told me a lot of things, Richard. That you were tired of your wife's complacency, that I was exciting, refreshing. She brushed a tear from her cheek, smearing her mascara. But I guess the game is over now, isn't it? Anna felt a swirl of conflicting emotions, pity for the other woman's heartbreak, anger at Monica's intrusion, and a twisted sense of triumph. But she maintained her composure, stepping back to give them space. Richard sighed. Monica, I'm sorry. Monica looked at Anna with a mixture of envy and disdain. You'll regret this, she hissed at Richard, then stormed off, leaving the thick curtains swaying in her wake. In the ensuing silence, Anna and Richard exchanged a weary glance. The confrontation had been inevitable, but it left them both shaken. This is far from over, Anna murmured, exhaustion creeping into her voice. He nodded. I know. But maybe it's the start of something new, if you'll let it be. Anna said nothing, turning away to rejoin Lily and Elena. Her life was on the cusp of yet another shift, but where it led, she still couldn't be sure. The gala ended in a crescendo of applause for the charity's success, but the personal dramas playing out behind the scenes felt far from resolved. Anna slipped out before the final toast, finding comfort in the cool night air. Lily insisted on dropping her home, and Anna was grateful for the support. Her mind buzzed with Richard's words, Monica's accusations, and the swirl of photographers' flashes still dancing at the edges of her vision. The next morning, the tabloids had a field day. Headlines splashed across websites and gossip columns. Millionaire magnate and his wife reunite in spectacular fashion. Wife's makeover steals the show at charity gala, and designer mistress jilted in a shocking twist. Anna scrolled through the articles, heart pounding. Some painted her as a triumphant underdog, others hinted at an inevitable scandalous divorce. The photos, however, were unanimous. Anna looked stunning, poised, glowing. She allowed herself a small smile at the progress she'd made. Meanwhile, Lily called to update her on new rumors. Monica had been spotted checking into a hotel in Midtown, looking distraught. There were whispers of her involvement in questionable design deals, using Richard's name to secure large upfront payments. Apparently her professional reputation might take a hit too, Lily explained. Not that she doesn't deserve it, but still, it's messy. Anna couldn't help but feel a twinge of sympathy. She knew what it was like to feel overshadowed, cast aside. But Monica had played a dangerous game, one that involved encroaching on a marriage she had no business interfering with. Anna's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You think you've won, but you have no idea what's coming, M." A chill ran down Anna's spine. Her first instinct was to block the number, but she hesitated. She wasn't sure if it was a real threat or just Monica's parting shot. Deciding not to engage, she slipped the phone back into her purse, trying to focus on the day ahead. Richard had requested a meeting, just the two of them, at their mansion in Westchester. Anna arrived mid-afternoon, feeling a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach as she walked through the ornate foyer. Memories rushed back, the lonely nights, the sound of Monica's laughter echoing through these walls. But she reminded herself she was no longer that neglected, sloppy housewife. She found Richard in the study, a cozy room lined with mahogany bookshelves and plush leather chairs. He looked up from his laptop, offering a tentative smile. "Thanks for coming." Anna sat down opposite him, crossing her legs and folding her hands in her lap. "You said you wanted to talk about us." He nodded, shutting his laptop. "Yes, I want you to know that I meant what I said at the gala. I ended things with Monica. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to earn back your trust." She studied his face. There were dark circles under his eyes, and his usually immaculate hair was slightly disheveled. He looked vulnerable. "You've hurt me deeply, Richard. It's not going to be fixed by a few apologies and good intentions." "I realize that," he said, voice tight with emotion. "I've arranged for a couples therapist to meet with us, if you're willing. We could try to work through everything." Couples therapy. The suggestion hung in the air. Anna wasn't opposed to the idea, but she wasn't sure if she was ready to open up old wounds. Yet something in Richard's eyes made her consider it. She could see the regret, the desperation to hold on. "All right," she said quietly, "I'll go. But you need to understand that I'm doing this for me as much as for you. If I sense any deceit, I'm out." Her voice came out steady, firm, a tone she'd rarely used with him before. Richard nodded, relief washing over his features. He reached for her hand, and this time she let him. "Thank you," he whispered. They talked for an hour, skirting around painful details his affair, her feelings of abandonment. They both agreed that they would discuss these issues more thoroughly in therapy. But for now, they just needed to establish a fragile truce. "I'm going to stay with Lily for a bit," Anna added. "I'm not ready to move back in here yet." His shoulders sagged, but he didn't argue. "I understand. If you need anything at all, just let me know." As Anna prepared to leave, she paused in the doorway. "Richard," she said, glancing over her shoulder, "do you still love me? Or is this just guilt talking?" He looked at her, eyes filled with something that might have been love, regret, or a mixture of both. "I never stopped loving you," he said softly, "but I forgot how to show it." She nodded, unable to suppress a small ache in her chest. "We'll see," she whispered, and left the study, footsteps echoing through the empty hall. Outside, the afternoon sun gilded the mansion's driveway. Anna drew in a breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She had always imagined that saving her marriage would feel triumphant, but reality was far more complicated. It felt like standing at the edge of a precipice, not entirely sure whether she'd fall or fly. A week went by, and Anna settled into Lily's apartment on the Upper East Side. It was a snug but stylish two-bedroom space with floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city skyline. Each day, Anna tried to re-establish some sense of normalcy, taking morning runs through Central Park, dedicating time to her personal grooming and reflecting on the therapy sessions she and Richard had begun. They were difficult, unearthing resentments and painful memories. But Anna felt it was a necessary process if she ever wanted clarity on whether to salvage their marriage. One evening, as she and Lily were chatting over cups of herbal tea, Lily's phone buzzed with a text. Lily's eyes widened. "It's from a friend of mine who works at a tabloid," she said. "He's telling me there's a rumor swirling about you, something big, about to break in the gossip columns." Anna's heart skipped a beat. What does it say? Lily's brow furrowed as she read. It says Monica gave a journalist some explosive scoop that could damage both you and Richard. A sense of dread washed over Anna. She recalled Monica's threatening text. What could she possibly say? Anna asked, voice tinged with anxiety. The next morning, the answer arrived. Overnight, an article had gone viral, featuring pictures of Monica and Richard in what appeared to be compromising positions from weeks' prior photos that left little doubt they'd been intimate. The headline blared, "Billionaire Richmond's secret love nest spouse to be left penniless." The article alleged that Richard planned to divorce Anna, leaving her high and dry, all based on insider information that Monica provided. It portrayed Anna as a gold digger who clung to Richard's fortune. Worse, it implied that Anna's transformation was a desperate ploy to win him back before he tossed her aside. Anna felt physically ill reading it. "This is insane," she murmured, her voice shaking. "Richard never said anything about divorcing me with no settlement. And even if he did, I have my own resources, my inheritance from my father. This is all just twisted lies." Lily placed a comforting hand on Anna's shoulder. "She's trying to ruin you both, especially you, because you won him back in some sense. Don't let it shake you." But it did shake Anna. Despite her father's inheritance, the media narrative was painting her as a pitiful figure. Worse, old acquaintances began reaching out, either to confirm the rumors or to revel in the scandal. Lily had to field calls all day, politely dismissing tabloids and shady reporters looking for a quote from Anna. Richard called, frantic. "I've spoken to my lawyers. We'll file a defamation suit." "Don't worry, I'll handle this," he promised. But the damage was already done. Once gossip was out in the open, it was nearly impossible to contain. Their next therapy session was tense. Anna sat across from Richard in the therapist's cozy office, which overlooked a tranquil garden. Dr. Chapman, a calm presence in a grey cardigan, guided the session. "How do you feel about what's happening in the media, Anna?" she asked gently. Anna fidgeted with the hem of her blouse. "I feel humiliated, betrayed. I tried to hold my head high, but it's personal." Richard's jaw tightened. "I never authorized Monica to speak for me. She's acting out of spite because I ended things." "I'm so sorry, Anna." The session delved into deeper issues, Richard's admission of how he let external validation overshadow his marriage, Anna's feelings of neglect and the guilt she carried for letting herself go. Both recognized that their disconnect made them vulnerable to someone like Monica, who thrived on their weaknesses. While therapy offered a path to healing, Monica's revenge rattled Anna's newfound confidence. She found herself second-guessing her every move. Was this outfit too flashy or not enough? Would people think she was just trying to milk sympathy from the tabloids? One afternoon, Lily convinced Anna to step out for coffee at a nearby cafe. As soon as they entered, hushed whispers trailed in Anna's wake. A couple of patrons blatantly stared, one even pointing at her phone with the scandalous headline pulled up. Anna lifted her chin, determined not to let them see her sweat, but her heart hammered in her chest. Returning to Lily's apartment, she collapsed onto the sofa, tears brimming. "I can't do this. The scrutiny is too much. Maybe I should just go somewhere quiet, away from New York." Lily put an arm around her, concern etched on her face. Running away won't solve anything. You've worked too hard to reclaim yourself. Don't let Monica drive you into hiding. Anna took a shaky breath, remembering how she used to feel powerless under Richard's shadow. Now Monica was trying to cast a new, even darker shadow. "You're right," she said, her voice steadier. "I won't let her win. I'll release a statement or something, clarify the truth." But even as she resolved to fight back, Anna knew that Monica's vendetta could still escalate. The question was, how far would Monica go to ensure her own twisted sense of victory? And in the midst of all this chaos, could Anna and Richard truly find a way to heal? Anna decided to face the scandal head-on. With the guidance of Lily and a trusted PR specialist named Bryce Donovan, she composed a clear, concise statement refuting the tabloid's allegations. It highlighted the fact that she had independent resources, that divorce was not an inevitable outcome, and that the photos of Monica and Richard were taken at a time when Anna and Richard were admittedly going through a rough patch, but that he was working to repair the marriage. The statement went public online, and while it didn't silence all critics, it offered a counter-narrative. Some outlets were surprisingly sympathetic, pointing out how Anna had handled the scandal with dignity. Monica, however, kept stirring the pot, giving sly interviews to anyone who would listen. During one particularly incendiary interview, Monica insinuated that Anna might have had an affair of her own, a baseless accusation, but enough to generate salacious headlines. She referenced an old friend of Anna's from college, suggesting they'd been seen canoodling. Anna nearly spat out her morning coffee in shock when she read that. "That's ridiculous," Lily fumed, pacing the length of her living room. "This friend of yours, what was his name? Ben Roberts? Did you ever date him?" Anna shook her head vehemently. "We studied together. He was just a friend. And I haven't seen him in years." Monica's grasping at straws. The entire saga took its toll on Anna's emotional well-being. Even therapy felt heavier, bogged down by the added stress of public scrutiny. Richard showed genuine remorse, often calling to check on her, apologizing for the mess Monica had created. But it was clear he was also dealing with fallout on his end business associates, who questioned his judgment. Socialites who gossiped about his personal life. Then came the breaking point. One evening, Anna received a call from her mother, Vanessa Jenkins. Unlike Lily's supportive stance, Vanessa's tone was harsh. "I've been hearing all this dirt about you in the papers," she said sternly. "It's disgraceful." The Jenkins name is being dragged through the mud. Anna's frustration boiled over. "You think I'm enjoying this? I'm fighting to clear my name, fighting to repair my marriage." "I'm sorry it's not neat and tidy," her mother sighed. "I warned you about marrying a man with such big ambitions. Now look where it's gotten you." Tears stung Anna's eyes. "You've never even asked how I'm holding up, or offered any real support." "I raised you to be strong," Vanessa retorted. "And part of being strong is accepting responsibility. You let your appearance and your relationship fall apart. This is the consequence." Anna ended the call abruptly, anger and sorrow swirling. She felt more alone than ever, except for Lily's unwavering presence. For a moment, she sank into the couch, contemplating the possibility that her mother might be partially right. She had ignored the cracks in her marriage for too long. But that didn't mean she deserved the avalanche of blame now crashing down on her. That night, as she sat by the large window of Lily's apartment, gazing at the myriad lights of the city, Anna felt a wave of claustrophobia. She needed air, space to breathe. She slipped on a coat and went for a walk in Central Park. The crisp evening breeze and the rustling leaves were a stark contrast to the suffocating tension of her life right now. She found a quiet bench near the Bethesda fountain. Only a few street lamps glowed, casting elongated shadows. She closed her eyes, inhaling the cool air, trying to find some clarity. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Richard. Usually she would ignore the call if she felt too emotional, but something made her pick up. "Anna?" he said, sounding breathless. "I'm glad you answered. Listen, something came up. Monica showed up at my office. She was unhinged, threatening to release even more damaging material if I don't pay her off." Anna felt a spike of adrenaline. Pay her off? This is blackmail now. She's gone too far. Richard sighed. "I know. I told her to leave, but she won't quit. I'm worried about what she might do next." Silence hovered, broken only by the distant sound of a taxi horn. "I'm tired, Richard," Anna finally said, her voice trembling. "I'm tired of the lies, the manipulation. This entire thing has drained me. Maybe we should just walk away from this marriage. Let Monica have her victory. I can't keep fighting like this." "Please, Anna, don't say that," Richard pleaded. "We can't let her win. If we give up now, she gets everything she wants. She ruins us both, and maybe even my business. And you. You don't deserve to be painted as some tragic figure left in the dust. You deserve better." His words touched a chord in Anna. She realized that, despite everything, part of her wanted to stand up for herself, not just slink away in defeat. "Fine," she said after a pause. "But we need a strategy. I'm done playing victim." "Agreed," said Richard. "We'll figure it out together. And, Anna, for what it's worth, I still want us. I just hope it's not too late." She hung up, her mind swirling. Monica was spiraling out of control, and Anna stood at a crossroads, run from the chaos or confront it head-on. Taking one last deep breath of night air, she decided she wasn't running. She'd see this through, no matter how messy it got. Monica's threats escalated. Over the next few days, she planted rumors in shady online forums, claiming she had dirt on Richard's financial dealings and Anna's personal secrets. She even hinted at releasing doctored videos that would further damage their reputations. Anna and Richard were on high alert, constantly updating their legal team about each new development. Finally, it all came to a head when Monica agreed to meet them at the law office of Ferguson and Blake, one of the most reputable firms in New York. The attorney, Mr. Blake, arranged the meeting to see if they could negotiate a cease and desist or a settlement to prevent Monica from continuing her slanderous campaign. Anna's stomach churned as she entered the sleek, glass-walled conference room. Richard was already there, seated at a long table. He stood up when he saw her, placing a reassuring hand on her elbow. They exchanged a tense, supportive glance. Moments later, Monica swept in, wearing a tight-fitting red dress and sunglasses perched atop her expertly styled hair. She exuded a brittle confidence, but her eyes betrayed a certain desperation. Mr. Blake introduced himself and gestured for everyone to take seats. Monica leaned forward, her gaze fixed on Richard. "I'm tired of being brushed aside. I gave you everything, my creativity, my time, my heart. And now you pretend I never mattered." Richard's voice was calm yet firm. "You were my designer. We had an affair. I won't deny it, but it's over. You need to accept that." She scoffed. "You think you can toss me away like trash? I have the receipts, remember. The nights in luxury hotels, the gifts you showered me with, emails enough to stir up a media storm." Mr. Blake cleared his throat. "Miss Ellis, if you proceed with these threats or release defamatory content, you open yourself up to a significant lawsuit. My client is prepared to take this to court. There's also the matter of potential blackmail." Monica's eyes flashed to Anna. "And you, the sloppy wife turned fairy tale princess, don't think I forgot about you. You humiliated me in front of everyone at that gala. Then you orchestrated this smear campaign, painting me as the villain." Anna's jaw tightened. "No one needed to paint you as a villain, Monica. Your actions speak for themselves. You thought you could break us apart, but all you did was show me that I'm stronger than I ever realized." Monica laughed, a harsh sound. "Strong? You wept in corners while your husband lavished attention on me. Don't pretend you're some paragon of independence now." Anna's pulse quickened. She fought the urge to lash out. Instead, she drew in a calming breath. "Yes, I was weak. I let myself go, but I rediscovered who I am, with or without Richard. That's what you fail to understand. My worth doesn't hinge on his approval or anyone's." Monica's face twisted with bitterness. She looked at Richard, then at Mr. Blake. "So what's this hush money you're offering me? Let's get down to business." Richard's face hardened. "We're not paying you off. We're offering you one chance to sign a cease and desist. You'll receive nothing except the promise that we won't pursue legal action for defamation and blackmail if you comply." Her lips parted in shock. "You're joking, Mr." Blake slid a document across the table. "Sign this, and you walk away without facing criminal charges or a costly lawsuit. Refuse, and my clients will press forward with every legal remedy available." A tense silence filled the room. Monica's gaze darted between the document and Richard. For a moment, Anna thought she might tear up the papers and walk out in defiance. But her shoulders slumped. She grabbed a pen, scrawled her signature, and shoved the paper back toward Mr. Blake. "Fine. We're done here," she said flatly, before rising from her chair and leaving the room in a rush, high heels clicking ominously against the marble floor. Anna exhaled, feeling a tremendous weight lift from her chest. Richard placed a hand on her back, murmuring, "It's over." She wasn't entirely sure if it was. Monica had proven she was capable of viciousness, but legally at least, they had shut her down. That night, Anna found herself in Richard's penthouse apartment, one he kept in the city for business. They'd decided to talk things through away from the Westchester mansion, which held too many painful memories. Over takeout Chinese food, they spoke in halting, honest bursts about the betrayal, the therapy sessions, their hopes and fears. "Anna," Richard said quietly, setting down his chopsticks, "I'm asking you to come home. Not the mansion. If it bothers you, we could stay here, or we could move. I just want us to be together, to truly rebuild." She searched his eyes, seeing a sincerity she hadn't witnessed in years. Her heart fluttered with the love that still lingered beneath the hurt. "I want to believe you," she whispered, "but I need assurances that things will be different." "They will," he promised, sliding closer. "I'll continue therapy. I'll communicate better. I'll respect you, cherish you the way I should have all along." A tear slipped down Anna's cheek. She thought about the transformation she'd undergone physically, emotionally. She'd found her strength, realized her worth. Was she ready to give Richard a second chance? Taking a breath, she smiled through her tears. "Let's go slow," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm not moving in immediately, but I'll give us a real chance. We'll keep going to therapy, keep talking, keep working on who we are now, as equals." Richard let out a trembling sigh of relief and pulled her into a tender embrace. Anna closed her eyes, letting herself lean into him. She wasn't certain of the future, but she felt hope flicker in her chest, hope that was hers alone, forged by her own resilience. They had come so far, from the depths of betrayal and self-neglect to a place of cautious optimism. And while the story of the sloppy wife and her millionaire husband might continue to intrigue the tabloids, the real story, the one that mattered, was unfolding quietly in the hearts of two people learning to love and respect each other all over again. Thank you for joining us on this tumultuous journey of heartbreak, betrayal, and, ultimately, the reclamation of one woman's self-worth. Anna's transformation from a neglected, uncertain spouse into a poised figure of dignity reminds us that true beauty begins with self-love. Watching Richard wrestle with his own guilt and finally choose to fight for the marriage underscores that redemption is possible when there is honesty, vulnerability, and a genuine desire to change. Monica's manipulative attempts to tear them apart provided the ultimate test of their unity. If this story gripped your heart and kept you on the edge of your seat, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue bringing you stories filled with drama, twists, and valuable life lessons. Stay tuned for more captivating tales that remind us all to stand strong, embrace transformation, and believe that true love and true self are always worth fighting for.